All right, there we go. Sorry about that. We had a little trouble for whatever reason. When I tried to go live, it just got caught in the spinning loop. So, welcome everybody. If you're watching in the replay, I just encourage you to hang on or skip ahead until we get to the info that I'm going to be bringing about fixing bad calls or busted calls. I'm going to start out with just a little bit of an update and what I've been up to. So we'll get to that shortly. But so last weekend was field day for us, and my son and I participated with our local club here. So I just want to share a couple of things that whatever took away. And this was my second year, and it seems like, at least so far, it never turns out exactly how you think it's going to, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what the band conditions are going to be. You don't know how the weather's going to be. You don't know who's going to show up and what's going to work and what's not going to work. But that's kind of the whole point, in the spirit of the original field day, was to test your equipment and to see if people are able to use ham radio to contact people across the nation or the continent or even the world. So that's what it's all about. It's kind of evolved into more of a contest atmosphere, but at the end of the day, it's improving your skills and testing your equipment. So this year, let's just say what I was expecting and then what transpired. What I was expecting was, last year was my first field day, and I made like 35, 40 CW contacts. And then since then, I've done a lot more on the air. I've gotten much better at CW. So I figured, like, I'm really going to nail it this year and make tons and tons of contacts. And as you know, if you've been on the air recently, the bands just haven't been that good lately. And um, it was pretty tough. And, just they were jam packed on, it seemed like 15 meters was kind of the go to, at least where we were. And it was packed because a lot of the other bands that people normally use weren't working that well. So it was just kind of a little frustrating. Calling CQ actually didn't get as many contacts as I thought I would, and then hunting went okay. So actually did a lot more on sideband this year than than last year for sure. We racked up. Oh, I don't even know. I haven't seen the official numbers from the club, but I probably logged over 100 sideband contacts, and then maybe, I don't know, like 60 CW or something. So that was different. We had it set up outdoors in a kind of they call it a barn. It's kind of an overhang of a building, and there is commercial power there that we don't usually, try to use that to power our rigs, because what the class that we were running, we need to run on battery power. In our case, we're using solar to charge batteries and that sort of thing. But we were using commercial power to run things like fans and lights, and there actually was a power outage during field day. So it got to be an actual uh, emergency power kind of situation. But all that being said, that's what led up to the live stream tonight. We had, I don't know, closer to 400, maybe like 370 total for the group in the log. And I told the guy Bob, who does a lot of the managing of the logs and that sort of thing. Um, so my son Levi and I, he's 12. We were working together. We're kind of tag teaming. I'd operate and he'd log and vice versa. And there were times where he felt like, oh, I could just do this myself. So he logged his own contacts and everything. That was good. But there are, especially when it comes to the sections of where they're located, just ones that you're not used to. It's not like the typical state abbreviations. So some of those things need to get fixed in the log. So in particular, we had a call sign that ended up bad. So I'm going to tell the story about that. So if you have done field day and maybe you're going to be checking over your logs, or if you're a POTA activator currently, or you're aspiring to be one, and you're just kind of getting to where you make your first activation, this is important information that you really should know, and it's going to save somebody a lot of time, because I found out a couple of things I wish I'd known a long time ago when it comes to fixing call signs. So first, let us talk about what is a broken call, a busted call, a bad call. That's just where you didn't copy the call sign correctly, or you couldn't read it, or there's a number of things. So you try to enter it in and it says it's not good, like they don't show up on QRZ or your logging program or whatever. Something's wrong with the call sign. So that's what a busted call or a broken call sign is. So we're going to talk about ways to remedy that. And the first one, as always, is prevention. If you can prevent it from happening in the first place, that's the biggest time saver you'll ever have, because if you can catch that error while you're making the contact and you're still in contact with that person, you can fix it there. You're done. Everything's right. You're good. So just a couple of things about that. Right now I'm on Parks on the Air. I log with Polo, and it doesn't really matter which logging program. If they have, when you type in a full call sign, their name should pop up and a location. Sometimes it takes a few seconds depending on how they're getting their information and if you've got good cell service or whatever the case would be. But I always listen for, I don't hit the enter button on my log until they finish their response to me. I send the CQ, they send their call sign, I repeat the call sign, and then they come back to me. And if they come back to me, and first of all, if they say Roger, RR, that to me is a lot better than BK, because if they say Roger, that's like you got it right when you said my call sign. They're acknowledging that you're copying them correctly. So that's just a tip. That's what I've started doing. I didn't always do that, but that's what I've started doing when responding to a POTA station. I'll say Roger, Roger, that they have it correct. And if they don't have it correct, the best way to do it and the right way to do it is send DE or from, if you're using CW, and then your full call sign again and wait for them, or send them back to you so they know that, okay, whatever I copied before isn't right. And if people are doing that sequence correctly, that will avoid most of all of these problems. But it doesn't always happen because you're in the heat of the moment, or maybe there's QSB on the band, or there's something going on, and maybe you thought you heard it right, but you didn't, or whatever the case would be. So the first way is just prevention. If you can prevent it, and there's sometimes too when I've got something wrong. Let's just say I just call this one the fake out. So you'll get some fake out. So let's just say I'm the hunter and I live in Alabama and I'm 30 miles away in Florida because I'm close to a border, and I'm hunting whoever it is, and I say where I am, which when they look it up in their logging program, it'll say I'm in Alabama, but I sent Florida. That may be a question mark, because I always double check those. I'll write a little note on a paper, or I'll double check that, because it's not incorrect to do that. Now, if I was in Washington State or in some other place that was out of the number 4 region, the correct way would be to send a slash and then whatever the number of that region that you're in. Then they would know that you're traveling out of your area and you're somewhere else. So then you're preventing the thought that this is a bad call because his call sign doesn't match his location. That makes sense. Hopefully that's helpful. So that's one of the ways that you can get faked out, and that's happened many times. So you should be prepared for that. That maybe they're just traveling. If you're very confident you heard the call correctly, or in the case that you record them. I don't record every single one, but I've recorded a lot of them, and then I'll listen to that one again and confirm that I heard them correctly and whatever they sent. And then let's just talk about how an error can happen, because if you know the possibilities of how that error could have happened, that will help you fix it. So they could have made an error on keying, and this is more for CW than for voice modes, but it is possible people mess that up too. Say I've heard this several times by going back and looking at my videos when I'm editing them, that they make a slight error in sending their call sign. Maybe it's just one extra dit, and sometimes an extra dit will not matter. Like say the number 5, if you're sending a 5, and especially like if you're on a bug and you actually send 6, or a bug or a paddle, whatever, a 6 instead of 5, I'll know that's an error and then you really meant 5. But if it's an S versus an H, 3 dits versus 4, well, that's a different story. So it could have been that you did hear it correctly, you did copy it correctly, you wrote down what you heard, and you were right. They just made an error, and then when you came back to them, hopefully, if they're a good operator and they know what to do, if they hear their call sign incorrectly, they should stop you at that point and correct you. But sometimes they don't. Sometimes maybe they didn't hear it, or maybe they just think close enough and whatever, and then they just go on with the exchange like nothing happened. That's how some of these broken calls or busted calls can happen. So I'm going to do some sharing. So what you can do to fix them. I guess one more thing before we go there. Another way you could do an error is, say it's a typo. Like the example I'm going to give you, an A and an S. So that's close together on the keyboard and you hit the wrong one, or a 5 and a 6 and you hit the wrong button. That's possible. Or if you're logging on paper, either like me and you're not always legible to yourself, even because you're in a hurry or something, or you spill something on it, or you tear the page, or something happens to the paper log and you can't make it out. So that would be another example. So do your best when you're logging. Like I said in the beginning, prevention is the best way. So I'm going to share the screen right now, and let's take a look. There are more, and I'll maybe briefly mention those, but I'm just going to show you the most common. Okay, view tab. Okay, let's see if we got it now. All right. So right now, you should know this page if you're a POTA operator. Okay, so let's just say, for whatever reason, you have a partial call sign. So let's just say it's in the suffix. So you have I'm going to say N7, and then you have a D and E, and you didn't get the last one. So see what I've typed in, I typed in what I had, and let's just say I had typed an X, and then that doesn't come up anywhere as a good call sign. Well, what could it be? Well, then, so these will pop up, and these are people, this is not everybody. These are probably people in the POTA system. But that's one way that I found it, is just by trying to type in any of these, and then once you click on someone, I'll just choose. I have no idea who this is, but you can see like, oh, my log was on, let's just say he hasn't logged for a while or hunted for a while, 214. But you can see if he's currently active. Like if he was making other contacts that day, that will give you some information. And then you can see if the call sign is correct, and you can find out, where the person's from. So now I'm going to QRZ. Um, that is probably the best place. And then this is just a trick that I found literally today, and I wish I'd known this so much sooner. Okay, let's give it a second. All right. So you're probably familiar with this page, but the whole thing of the trick is for a partial call sign. If you don't know, replace the letter, number, the character that you don't know with an asterisk. So like here, this is what I did. I can see this, the KI5X something something. Then that will show up everything that's close to that. Or for our example, let me see if okay, let's just go to our example, and then we'll just kind of talk through how I figured it out. So what I copied, and when I copied it, I remember copying this call sign because I'm like, well, that's weird, because it was what I copied was AS7AF, and I thought, I've never heard it AS. I've never heard that. So then I search. Okay, this is a bad call sign. AS. It looks like there's nobody there, but it looks like this. So then I got to thinking of, all right, this was in CW on 15 meters. There was QSB on the band. Maybe I missed a dit, or maybe like sometimes you can put 2 characters and it's actually 3, but the spacing of their keying was bad. So I thought maybe AS, maybe I missed the DA in between there. Maybe it was AB instead of AS. Or, so I went through. Maybe it was, sometimes if you're new to CW, you transpose things where like A and N are kind of opposite. They're both 1 DA and 1 DIT, but the order is reversed. So maybe that's a possibility. So I went through that. Or I thought, well, what if it was a 6 instead of a 7? And I went through all the ones that were bad. And then there is another website, and I don't remember it, but I'm sure you can find it if you Google it, that will show you all available call signs. Like if you want to do a vanity call and you want to see what's available, it will tell you all the ones that are close to that. So you can use that one if you had a partial call and then you said that I just want to have something 7AF, because whatever you like that. And then it would show all the ones that are available, like valid call signs that are available. So if you know that it's available, nobody's using it, so that's not correct. But the way to do it here, I did A, the character in question was the second one, so I did an asterisk and then a 7AF. Hit enter. Okay, now it brings up a list of all of the call signs that are similar or that match. So you can have, it could have been A7 or AJ7AF. It could have been a F7AF. It could have been a A7AF. That was one that we were wondering about. But in the field day contest, they sent me PAC. PAC stands for Pacific, and that's pretty much Hawaii. So a Hawaii call signs, a lot of the time, they are an AH or a KH. They have a H as the second one. And let's see, where is, I don't even see it here. Oh, you know what? There was a second error. That's why I don't see it. So that's just another layer to so as you can see, there's nobody here that I see from Hawaii. So then I thought, well, A asterisk 7 call sign, and then I'll do another asterisk and an F. So then it should fill. You're going to have a longer list, or you can just, however you want to do it. You can, and here's like AH7DF. Well, what sounds like A and CW? Like I said, if you're new and you transpose an N and an A, or what if you miss a DA before or after? And the one that ended up being, let's see where I can see it here, was, oh, there's a lot of them. I'll just skip right to it. It was AH7RF. It was not A. So somewhere in there I missed, instead of DA dit, it was dit DA dit. So you can blame it on QSB, or it could have been a keying error, or I just didn't copy it right. I heard an A and it was supposed to be an R, so it was AH7RF. And that will bring us to Miss Heather in Honolulu, Hawaii. And so this is the next thing you can do. If you have a partial, if you have, say you narrow it down to 2 or 3 possibilities, see if you can email them. See, their email is there. I'm not going to highlight it and show her personal email, because that's why you can't get to it unless you're logged in and you're an actual ham radio license holder. So I'm not going to do that, but some people put their email, some don't. So if you narrowed the list down to 1 or 2 or 3, see if you can email them, send them an email, tell them, I'm just want to follow up on this QSO. I'm trying to figure out who it was. And that's exactly what I did. And you can kind of learn by reading their profile. Like, there's a lot about being a CW operator and portable operation and stuff. So I'm like, well, this is a pretty good candidate for using CW in field day. So what I did, I sent an email to her and I said I was working with the club. We had a call sign similar to yours that we couldn't figure out, and I sent her the band and the time. I said, this is our call sign for the club. Can you confirm or deny it? Maybe they never even worked field day. Well, you cross that one off the list. And finally, she did get back to very nice. So it was all solved. Everybody lived happily ever after. But basically, to go back to it, whatever letters or numbers you don't know, use the asterisk and it'll bring up the possibilities. So I'm going to stop sharing here and go back to the main page. Yeah, who's down here? Oh yeah, ham radio. I didn't know that trick. Yeah, thank you. That's why I'm doing this live stream, because I did not know that until today. So I definitely will be using that more in the future. So like I said at the beginning, the best thing you can do is prevent it. Try to confirm it. If you see anything or hear anything that does not match what's showing up in your log, fix it while you're on the air with the person, if at all possible. And sometimes they just disappear and you can't do that. Otherwise, like I said, you can try the POTA site, type in a partial call, you might get them there. Try to email whoever you can get that's close, and then you can use the asterisk on QRZ. So I did post on the top. Did you let me know where you're from, and did you participate in field day? I haven't seen any responses on that yet, but I'd like to give everybody a minute or two if they want to respond to that. I haven't been doing a lot of live streams. Just kind of got busy. I was doing more of that over the winter and having more free time then. A lot of stuff going on. June was a super busy month. We had 2 special events and field day that we were operating in, along with all the other things in life and family and everything else. So I haven't been doing a lot of live streams. I have done a couple like spontaneous, at the special events. I just go live to show everybody what I'm doing. And some of that worked okay. If the cell phone coverage is not good, it's really not that helpful. But just trying to bring awareness to people. Sometimes if like at the special events, I want to like let people know what band I'm on or frequency or what I'm going to be doing if they do want to try to contact me. Um, so that's why I've done that. But we're looking at in the future maybe probably at least a once a month. I mean, I used to be doing almost once a week, but if you enjoyed this and you found this helpful, there are a couple of past live streams I think you should check out. There's one I did about starting out in CW and SKCC, how to get started with that, and go through all those abbreviations and some of that thing and how to navigate all that and learn that stuff. That would be a good one. Another one that I haven't really heard much feedback, but I think it'd be super helpful to a lot of people was about troubleshooting. So how to troubleshoot. Everybody's run into problems, and I mean, mostly this is about ham radio, but even some of those principles can apply to just about anything. But if you're troubleshooting and you have a system, you'll be a lot more successful. So there is a live stream for that. So go onto the page and look up live streams. I think I've created a playlist called past live streams, but it may not be on there. You may have to dig around. But I think I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. I didn't intend to go that long, but just wanted to be able to show people how to do that. It's a very useful skill. So thanks for joining me tonight. Again, I appreciate all the feedback. If you're watching on a later date, comment, let me know what you thought of this, what you'd like to see in the future, and so on and so forth. So this has been yet another ham radio video. This is JKQ4DUX. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll be signing off. Catch you on there. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.